Hi, everyone. I wanted to come to you tonight and just share a little bit about my passion for charting mastery, for why I think it's so essential that physicians have this opportunity to really invest in themselves. Because I believe that every physician should be able to experience just the freedom and the transformation of being able to finish your charting and go home, because feeling like a good doctor doesn't need to just be some aspirational thing. It doesn't need to just be something that you say, I think I can do this, and um, but all the things from the system are just weighing me down. But rather, this could be something that you actually get to take those steps towards. And so I'd encourage you, if you're watching this now or later, just drop a comment and let me know what some of the big things that sometimes hold you back when charting. Some of those stories that um, we just tell ourselves, and it is crazy how some of these things just seem to keep coming up. It definitely did for me, because coming right out of residency, I was s- jumped in and I worked hard, and but I still just felt overwhelmed when I was just bringing things home. It was exhausting, overwhelming, and it just really weighed on me. I couldn't um, seem to get things done in a way that supported me, that made me feel like I was actually able to, um, yeah, just experience that rest and that recovery that now I'm able to feel. I work really hard. I had in my clinic, usually I get 10 uh, or so scheduled each half session. So each half day in the morning and the afternoon. Sometimes there's a few extra, there's a few extra that get worked in, a few extras that get added to the schedule, urgent visits and whatnot. And today was one of those days. Um, I stepped up and saw one of my colleagues' patients while they dealt with an emergency. And it was something that was a great opportunity for me to just to help out. And yeah, did it mean that it was more work for me and for my staff? Yeah. But ultimately, I, um, yeah, just really enjoyed the opportunity to help, to get to work with the PA student that was working with that particular physician at the time. It was an opportunity to serve and to be a part of my big why, my big priorities for being a part of medicine. And yeah, I couldn't do stuff like that in a way that allowed me to still get a lunch, to still be able to leave within 20, 30 minutes of my last patient being done, because I was able to finish my charting faster. And this is something that I had to learn. It wasn't just innate, something that we're taught in medical training. It's something that is developed. Something that's developed. There are mental skills and there are physical skills, both dealing with the electronic medical record and being able to take those steps forward in a way that works with how I'm experiencing the situation. Because ultimately, the story that I tell myself about some of these things is crucial. The story that I tell myself about these things is crucial in how I show up for myself and for my patients, and for how I experience what otherwise in the past I've experienced solely as stressful, as overwhelming, all these charts that I had to do. And yet, when I've put some of these things into place, these tools in my EMR, using some of these things, again, it's not necessarily which EMR, it's about taking those steps forward. It's about acknowledging that the medical system, medical school, often beats it into us that we have to be perfect, that we have to be on it all the time. And yet, when it comes to being a physician out there in the real world, we all want to take great care of our patients. We all want to be there to help our patients. We want to take great care of them, to do A+ doctoring. And yet, the charting can be sufficient, can be B- work. That was not something that I was okay with. I mean, it was drilled into me as I worked hard, as I did all of these things, that I just needed to be amazing, to be perfect, to take these things and to be able to convey them in a way that really looked good. It provided a good story of what the patient was actually going through. And yet now I realize that there are other considerations. A lot of charting is about billing, especially these days. All those discrete data elements, those checkboxes, drop downs. Sure, there's research and clinical quality and good patient care that can be done, but a lot of it ends up being about how can we document this to the level that needs to be billed. So there have been some changes with the CMS requirements. And so as long as there's something about what you're talking to the patient about, those particular problems that you're addressing at that visit, the biggest thing is now in the medical decision making. It's not 2 of 10 of these particular review of systems. You can put those things in the HPI that are pertinent, and those things that may not be, you can just kind of leave them and be able to, yeah, just say, apart from this, yeah, we can just put in the medical decision making what is important. What is important for clinical care? What's important for me when I see the patient back, with which hopefully I get some continuity. It can be a matter of how can I communicate well so that on the day that I'm not in clinic, I'm out on vacation, or just it's the day that I'm not there and my colleague is. They're able to take better care of the patient because how I charted. But ultimately, it's about doing something that's sufficient, not that meets this long, flowery story in full, complete sentences. I use a lot more fragments than I used to. And I've had to adjust my attitude, my mindset to be more okay with this. And so these are things that I've had to learn because, like I've mentioned uh, many times on the MedEdWell podcast, and as I've shared about my story on my Finish Charting Faster webinar, I was burned out less than a year out of training. And part of it was because I was bringing these perfectionist tendencies that I had learned throughout training, even before medical school, just that I had to do it just right. I remember hearing one of my colleagues talk about how they were able to finish most of their charts by the end of the day. And I thought, wow, that's amazing, but seems kind of weird. And these things actually are possible. And so a few of the things that I've put into place revolve around actually figuring out how I can make a connection with the patient, how I can set up the room so that I can see the patient, so that I can type at the same time, so that I can get at least my history of present illness, my orders, and hopefully at least some of my plan done in the room. I'll often now, especially as a pediatrician, I see a lot of kids who are school age. And one of the things that I'll tell them is, hey, I'm done with your orders. The nurse or the medical assistant's preparing the vaccines, your paperwork, your school excuse so you can go back tomorrow and not get in trouble. But then if I know that there's not an emergency waiting for me in the next room, I realize that I can take an extra moment I have this urge to go on to the next one because that's what I've always done. That's what I've felt like I have to do. That urge to go because I'm already running 10, 20, 30 minutes or more behind because I gave this patient the time that they needed, because I knew that in order to be able to provide what I consider to be good clinical care, it often doesn't fit in a 15-minute appointment, whether that's a patient who is dealing with mental illness, who has particular concerns about their newborn baby, who speaks another language that I don't speak, and I get an interpreter. If I'm taking a confidential history from a teenager, but also having time to examine them and speak with their family. These things take time. And yet, by implementing certain efficiency things, charting more in the room, going room to room when I can, and even staying an extra minute or two after my orders are done to finish more of my charting in the room, these allow me to stay more on top of my charting. I am able to finish my day sometimes a little bit before when I used to, but many times it's about the same. It's just that I'm getting my work done. It's so much more freeing for me to be able to finish, to not have that weight of having to relive those stories, the cognitive load of having to wonder, was that rash on this patient? Like, how is that different from the rash on the patient at the end of the morning as opposed to the second one of the afternoon? I don't have to worry about, did I get that finding just right? Or did I remember to send that extra prescription for Tylenol like the family had asked for? Because for the most part, I'm able to get it done as I go. And so these things have been so critical for me, and part of why I have been passionate about sharing about these things on the MedEdWell podcast, why I've started this group coaching program and become a certified life coach myself, because I see the value of this transformation in my life. And I want this for other physicians. I want to be able to share this with them. And that's why I've put together a 6-week coaching program. I look at how to take charting, how I did for me, and then how I can spread that for others to take it from chaos, from overwhelming and stressful to complete. It doesn't mean there's not a lot of moving pieces. It doesn't mean that there's not a lot of other things going on that may be outside of our control, whether it's the number of patients on your schedule, whether it's how much time you have to see them, what you're asked to document, the quality measures, and so forth. But how you show up, how you connect with your purpose can allow you to experience medicine in a whole new way. How you maybe thought about it when you first went into medicine, when you first saw your patient and did a history and then did a physical exam and you wrote it up and you got feedback on it. Those first few times when there's some of these things that you're learning and integrating, and it just seems so different. I remember doing a health fair, sports physical screenings, and the patients would come. There were a number of us physicians who were there at the clinic, and we just took our histories. We talked to the patient, we counseled them, we did the screening, we documented our exam, and they went on their way. There's a lot to be said for just that patient physician connection. I got to see that when my system had some extended downtime with our computer system challenges, and doing complete notes on paper, it was shockingly pretty straightforward. Having not done that in my clinical practice since one rotation in medical school, I don't have the experience of someone who's been in medicine for years ahead of me to know how things have changed so drastically. I've only seen just a little bit of that, but I know that this is not just me, that this pain, this weight of charting is weighing down many of us, because the 2021 survey found that 63% of physicians were experiencing at least one symptom of burnout. And so, having been through burnout less than 8 months out of residency, I know that this could happen to anyone, because I was a hardworking go-getter, jump right in and let's take great care of patients and just be productive and go for it. I realized that the system, in many ways, is set up to keep things moving more, more, more. And yet, I wanted to be part of the solution, having worked on some of these things, having experienced this transformation. I want to bring it to others. And so that's why I started Charting Mastery, my 6-week group coaching program. There'll be some short modules, a few reflection exercises, some worksheets just to allow people with different learning styles to be able to connect with the material. But then I'll have weekly group coaching calls. We'll do a little bit of teaching and have an opportunity to hear where you're at, to examine these things that are coming up for you, because there's facts and there's stories. And ultimately, our stories and the thoughts that we have about these situations end up creating our experience, how we show up, what we do or don't do, and the results that it gets for us. Because I don't want to just sit by and say, I hope this all gets better and I'm glad I've made a change for myself. No, I want to be a part of making this change for others. So the doors are open right now. I'm starting the next cohort May 24th at 9 p.m. Eastern, and I would love to have so many physicians join me. Being a beta group, I have a discount for those who choose to join me now, and I just really want to help people, because the next 6 weeks are going to go by, and there are going to be physicians coming out of training who need this material, who need to know these things, and I want to be a part of that. There are physicians who are out of training who are practicing as attendings, who are just wishing that they would have had something like this. That was something that, as I was reflecting on that this week, I got to speak at a local pediatrics conference and talk about charting and wellness. And it was just a reminder of how far I've come and just the opportunity to give back. And so I wanted to make a special discount for this time for those who are newly going to be attending physicians as of this July. So if you send me a message, I'm actually doing this free enrollment for those who are going to be new attendings. And for those who refer a new attending who signs up, I'm going to be giving 80% off the investment. And so I really want to make this accessible. I really want to learn and gain feedback on the program. And I want to be able to help other doctors finish charting faster so you can get home sooner for what matters most to you. I love being able to come home pretty close to on time and be able to have dinner with my family, to be able to play in the backyard with my kids, to push them on the swings, to chase them around. And it's just so meaningful to me. It may be something different for you. It might be a workout class, being able to make dinner plans with friends, or something else. But I need your help to get the word out there, to help get other physicians the help they need. If this is something that you need, I'd love to chat more and to help you get enrolled. Just send me a DM, send me an email. You can email me at coaching@mededwell.com. I'll put the link to check out the check out more about the program here in the comments, and you can message me to get the link to sign up for the new attendings and for the discount for referrals. But ultimately, I'd love to hear from you. What's resonated with you as I've talked more about charting on the podcast, things you want to hear more about, guests and different experiences you might want to hear about on the podcast. And I'm just so thankful for each of you that's chosen to join me for investing your time tonight to share, to hear how I'm able to share my passion for this. And I want you to really succeed. So thank you so much for joining me. And I look forward to seeing many of you, to seeing many physicians' lives transformed as you finish your charting faster. Again, you can learn more at coaching.mededwell, mededwell.com/charting mastery. And I would love to hear how this changes things for you. Thanks for joining me.